I love and hate BPM Sports Talk Radio at the same time. In fact, you know what? Scratch that. I don't even hate these guys. I like the fact that they go out there and talk about the craziest, most ridiculous, sometimes even the stupidest ideas, because once these conversations get said on air, people start talking about them on Twitter, and it gives me ammo to make videos. That's just kind of how the ecosystem of content creation here on YouTube works. If you're in the business that I am, where you don't really break down games and make people smarter, you just kind of contribute to the brain rot. So let's go out there and talk about an idea that was discussed on BPM Sports Talk Radio earlier this week. And I'm just going to go out there and read the tweet. That's it. Take a look at this video that was shared on the 28th. It has 156 replies, 90 likes, 31 retweets. Tu ne peux pas passer à côté de... Okay, we're not going to read it like that. Gilbert Delorme would not hesitate to trade David Reinbacher, the 5th overall pick, and the 26th overall pick to get his hands on Brady Tkachuk. Fire emoji. Fire emoji, fire emoji. And the video is 30 seconds long, and you can see the three folks over on the microphones talking about this idea, and they call out what importance there is in having a power forward like guy, and then they discuss, the guys that they would think about trading, and it's just kind of, it's the Montreal cycle of trade talk. Thank goodness for social media, right? Because if it wasn't for the existence of Twitter and these clips being posted everywhere, nobody in the English-speaking side of Canada, which is like, the rest of Canada surface area-wise, would even be able to see stuff like this. Montreal has its own crazy ecosystem of discussion and conversation, so I wanted to go out there and talk about this big one here. Would you trade David Reinbacher, number 5, and number 26 at the 2024 NHL Entry Draft if it meant getting Brady Tkachuk in return? Now, I will say, the easy way to open up this conversation is by cynically saying, hey, if the Montreal Canadiens wanted Brady Tkachuk, they could have had him for free. They just should have drafted him 3rd overall in the 2018 NHL Entry Draft, but nope, they ended up taking Kotkaniemi instead. By the way, when it comes to Kotkaniemi, we'll make another video about him later in today's show. But of course, that has always been the big stain on Marc Bergevin's career as NHL GM of the Habs. I mean, there were a few bad moves and bad trades that he had made, but still, Kotkaniemi 3rd overall was one of the biggest fumbles the Canadiens have had in years, especially when you consider the names that were still on the board and the careers that guys like Brady Tkachuk, Quinn Hughes, and Evan Bouchard are having in the NHL. That being said, Brady Tkachuk at this point in his career is more or less what he is going to be. 24 years old, 6'4", 212, left-handed left-wing guy, signed till the end of 2028, making $8.2 million a year. He had 74 points in 81 games his previous season, 83 points the year before that, and he absolutely went off at the World Championship, scoring 13 points in 8 games played. He went off, and honestly, you can say that the way he produced in the regular season was more so indicative of the talent of the Ottawa Senators not really showing up, rather than guys like Brady and Stützle not being as good as they have been. They had a really rough season altogether, so I don't think it's fair to say, oh yeah, Brady Tkachuk went from 80 points to 70 points. What a bum. Like, he's not getting worse, guys. It's just a bad season that they had. Either way, Brady showed a lot of his offensive potential at this World Championship tournament, and these are traits that everybody hopes will translate into the next season and beyond, maybe even breaking past the 85, 90-point barrier if everything goes right. This is a player that is one of the premier power forwards in the NHL, arguably the most hard-hitting of the top scorers of the bunch too. Brady is a unique hockey player. But the idea of trading away what is essentially 3 first-round caliber assets and 2 of them being top 5 caliber assets in Reinbacher, the 5th overall pick, and the 26th overall pick, that is absolute overpay. Now, I get it. The immediate instinct for Ottawa is like, hey, we're not trading away Brady, so if we are trading away Brady, it's going to have to be an offer we can't refuse. You have to go all Don Vito Corleone on us. You cannot undersell. You have to overpay, or else we're just going to say no. That's kind of the main philosophy that normally gets brought up in trade discussions involving literally MVP caliber assets of teams. It's, hey, Brady Tkachuk on Ottawa is literally the captain. He is worth everything to this franchise, value-wise, compared to everybody else, maybe except for Tim Stützle. So you're going to have to overpay if you're going to be willing to convince Ottawa to say yes to a trade with Tkachuk. That is, of course, if you disregard the rumors that we have been seeing the past few weeks saying that Brady might be on his way out anyway. But either way, if you talk about the Montreal Canadiens, honestly, if you wanted to say that their window of opportunity is just opening up now, if you believe that they have enough guys on the team already who can carry this team forward into playoff contention status, then I can understand the philosophy behind trading away all of this stuff, but that doesn't disregard the fact that it is a lot of stuff. 5th overall, admittedly, if you draft a guy, let's say Caden Lindstrom, for example, he's not going to be an impact NHL player until maybe 2026, 2027, maybe 2025 if you're lucky, but that's not guaranteed. For 26th overall, you're probably going to have to wait even more. That guy's not going to be an NHL player maybe till 2027, who knows? Maybe by 2027, he's just barely cracking Laval. I mean, we talk all this talk about the younger guys in previous drafts who were taken a little bit later, Owen Beck, Philip Meshar. How close are these guys to the NHL? They're like right on the cusp. So if you think about it like that, the 26th overall pick that the Montreal Canadiens will use in this year's draft is going to probably be an NHL tweener asset by 2027, 2028. It's not going to be until 2029, maybe, when they are an impactful, legitimately valuable asset to the Montreal Canadiens on the ice at that very moment in time. Their potential is what's going to give them value for right now. So if you want to say, screw all that, we're not going to wait here, let's not wait for Caden Lindstrom, let's not wait for David Reinbacher, we already got enough defensemen here anyway, so if Reinbacher was good enough to play, he wouldn't even have a guaranteed spot because we just got too many guys, let's trade away all this stuff for Brady Tkachuk and have him play with Kirby Dach and Alex Newhook and everything. The idea makes sense in theory, but of course in practice that would never happen. The Ottawa Senators... Look, as much as we talk about the idea of trading away Brady Tkachuk and how his name has apparently been tossed out there in rumors, it really makes me feel weird to think about the Ottawa Senators even considering a Montreal Canadiens trade for Brady. Like, having that idea pushed in there just feels very, very weird. David Reinbacher as well. I mean, you never want to see a guy get drafted and developed and beloved by his fan base in order to just get traded a year after. I mean, we saw what happened with Ryan McDonough, we saw what happened with Mikhail Sergachev. If David Reinbacher becomes the best defenseman on the Ottawa Senators, which is possible, I mean, there's some very good guys on that team anyway. Jake Sanderson's looking really good. Shabbat is still Shabbat. If David Reinbacher becomes the number one defenseman Ottawa has for the next 20 years, then all of a sudden that looks terrible on the Montreal Canadiens, and it's Mikhail Sergachev all over again. Sure, there's a lot more guarantee that Brady Tkachuk will be good than Jonathan Drouin, but still. This, of course, will be linked in the description if you want to go ahead and listen to the audio hit yourself. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below if you're an Ottawa Senators or a Montreal Canadiens fan. How do you feel about Brady Tkachuk for David Reinbacher? This trade conversation has gotten way out of hand because Montreal Sports Talk Radio just does not stop feeding the ecosystem of panicky ideas and crazy, unrealistic talk. Of course, it makes for a great YouTube video, or 2, or 3, depending on how many times they bring it up on the show, but this one, of course, was something that I felt I wanted to talk about because this idea is so crazy. It would have full value if you added these assets on the NHL 24 franchise mode propose a trade screen in the video game. That's how crazy of a trade this would be. But is it something you actually think about? Sens fans, Habs fans, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.